Hello students. So in the chapter crop production and management, we have studied a lot of things. Now in lecture 5, whatever we will study, that is the plant breeding steps. So what are the steps we are following to breed, to create new plants of our desired characteristics? Okay. So here, first thing, to develop thousands of genetically identical plants from one single plant, parent plant, that is known as semiclones, and this process is known as micropropagation. This known as micropropagation. Okay, this known as micropropagation. Fine. This is known as micropropagation. So to develop thousands of genetically identical plants, whatever we are doing the plant tissue culture, and this is the use of plant tissue culture. First thing, if you require many more plants, that means thousands of plants of the same identical plant from a parent plant, so we will do the plant tissue culture, and this process is known as micropropagation. Micropropagation. Now, another thing is that whenever we are doing some plant tissue culture or whenever we are going for any breeding, plant breeding technique, at that time we require another property, that is that another characteristic, that is that disease-free plant. Disease-free plant, that is also very important. So here, disease-free plant we can get using the plant tissue culture method. Plant tissue culture method we can get disease-free plant. So what we have studied first is that we can get thousands of identical plants like the parent plant, identical plant. Another point, this is very important point, and second point is that we require disease-free plants. Disease-free plants. Okay. Now, whatever we are using, that means whatever we are going to cultivate, that has some commercial impact also on the society. So this we are producing that are extensively commercially important plants, like whatever the foods you require much, tomato, banana, apple, this type of fruits you require much. So these plants we are doing using the plant tissue culture. That means if one tomato parent plant, we require tomato parent plant, we require same identical tomato plant and many more, right? So same identical many more plant we require. So at that time, and this tomato, it has this tomato, banana, apple, those things we require in a huge or large scale. So we are doing the micropropagation of this. Another thing is that is the orchid. Sorry, orchid. So this is also one application of the micropropagation. Nowadays, these orchids are very familiar to us, and these orchids, if we want to develop, we require plant tissue culture method. The plant breeding methods have undergone multiple amendments since it started from 9,000 to 11,000 years ago. And modern method of plant breeding that we will discuss step by step. So all steps we are going to follow here. From the next slide, all the steps we are going to explain. First step, right? First step, that is the collection of plants or seeds for all possible alleles or for all genes in a given crop. Now, here that means whatever the possible characteristics, whatever the plants you can have, those plants we require. And these plants, first step is to collect the plants, different plants or seeds for all possible characters for all genes in a given crop. This is called germplasm. So first step, that is Sorry. That is germplasm. Fine. So what I have done, I have collected all the required characters from all the genes of the crops. Okay, different crops I have, that's from similar type of crops. So I have collected all the characters. Now this collection that even involves wild varieties and relative to the cultivated species. So first we are collecting here in this picture, you can see that they are collecting different types of part, and that means different types of characters they are collecting. That is called germplasm. What is called germplasm? Now the germplasm is evaluated for selection of parent plants with desired characteristics. The combination of these characteristics is expected in hybrid progeny. So from parent plant using germplasm, this method, we are collecting all good characteristics, right? Good characteristics. Fine. Then what we are doing after that, why we are taking this? To get one hybrid progeny that should have all those characteristics that we have collected. Now a plant crop with high protein content can be selected to be crossed with a plant with higher disease resistance. So if a plant with high protein, suppose one plant have high protein characteristics, another plant that have higher disease, just wait. Higher disease resistant, right? Now I require one hybrid progeny that should have these two characters. First character is the high protein. Second character, that is the higher disease resistant. So if I require this type of characteristics, both the characteristics, then whatever I have to take, a plant crop with high protein I have to take, and a plant crop with higher disease resistant I have to take. Then we have to collect these two characteristics, right? We have to collect these two plants, then we have to cross. Okay, so this is the first step. Now the cross hybridization among the selected parents. So now what we have done, one parent we have collected which have high protein. Another parent we have collected, parent means parent plant, okay, which have higher resistant to the disease, okay, higher resistant to the disease. Now the parent are cross hybridized to develop the pure lines of progenies, and this is very tedious and time consuming practice, because sometimes it has been seen that whenever we are going to do this thing, at that time we are not getting the desired hybrid breed. So it is a very time consuming practice and carried out in a conventional fashion of introducing pollen from one plant to the stigma of the other. That means it is an artificial technique. So we are introducing pollen from one plant to the stigma of the other. So if the labor is involved also, only one or two progenies, this in a 200 show the desired combination of characteristics. So I am taking huge number of plants having the high protein characteristic. I am taking huge number of plants with the high resistant disease. Now whatever I am doing, suppose a single parent plant you have that has the high protein, another single parent plant that has higher resistant disease. Now we are crossed these two. So whatever the hybrid breed you are getting, in this case it happens that within 200 only one or two progenies, they have the desired characteristics. So first stage, this is the addressing the problem and determining the object. First thing is that what the farmers are saying. Suppose they are complaining that whatever the crops we are growing, that does not have that much protein, whatever we require. And another farmer, they are addressing some problem, that is that some insects, they are just destroying whole the field. That means now if this is the problem, then what is the solution? I have to create one breed. I have to create one breed which has this two property. It should give high protein and also it should be very high resistant to the disease. It should be very high resistant to the disease. So this is the main objective now. So objective you are getting from the problem. Now using an useful source of genetic variation and diversity, we are selecting two plants. Then we are making one hybrid plant. So inbreeding we are doing, and phenotypic selection among the resulting variants we are doing, screening and evaluation of selected elite lines for a specific object, then the cultivar release. Okay. So after getting these hybrid plants, that means within 200, one or two are successful, then we can do it. We can now make the identical plants of these. Okay. So this is the cross hybridization. Now selection and testing of superior recombinants. So to develop the progenies are then evaluated, and that means whatever the desired characteristics is, that the hybrid breed that you have those characteristics or not, that should be evaluated, and those with the desired combination of characteristics that are self-pollinated to attain the homozygosity. Now I will tell you what is the homozygosity. Homozygosity, that for a particular gene means you inherited two identical versions. So homozygo here homozygosity, homozygous plant. So here that means homozygous for a particular gene means you inherited two identical versions, and heterozygous, this heterozygous genotype where alleles are different. So people who have recessive traits like blue eyes, red hair, those are homozygous for that gene. So here also, in case of the plant also, we, due to the self-pollination, we can get the homozygosity. Here you can see that the homozygosity, here you can have this homozygosity here. So the identical versions of these two we are getting, and here we are getting the alleles that are different. So here you can see that this is your, now whatever creating, that is the homozygous. Now here you can create some heterozygous genotype. Okay. Now the improvements in crop yields we are doing, we know that to get high yield and to feed the total population. So to feed the total population, we are going to cultivate in a large scale. Now to improve the yield of the crop, we should understand what is the main criteria of the crop. For the crop, these are the two main criteria. One is the weather, another is the soil. These two are the main criteria. Other criteria are there, but these are the main two criteria which we have to fulfill. First thing is the weather. That means we are thinking about weather. What should be the season? That means which crop will grow in which season. First, you have to know that thing. Like Kharif crop will grow in the monsoon season, and Rabi crop that will for the winter season. Zaid crop that will be in the summer season. So first thing is that which crop you can produce in which season. So the crops are grown depending upon the seasons, and that's why we have to know before going to make a crop production in a large scale. We have to know that the factors which are affecting the growth of the crop. So for that reason, we have to know what is the required weather, what is the required soil type we have, and according to that, we can grow that. So in order to improve the crop yield, we can do crop variety improvement, crop production management, and nutrient management. Okay, so here for short term, what we can do for the crop yield, the soil quality we can increase, microbiome we can increase, soil quality, microbiome if it will increase, then crop quality that will be consistent. And crop quality will be, crop yield will be high if soil quality is high and microbiome is high. So this is the long term and this is the short term. Now, different approaches we have to improve the crop yield. The plant breeding, as we have discussed, that helps the farmers to select the desired properties of the plant. From the parent plants, we are getting the new varieties, and these new varieties will give or fulfill the requirement of the farmers. Because before going to find out what is the reason why we are going for the crop yield, first you have to ask the farmers what are the problems they are facing. They are facing a lot of problems. Soil nutrient, this may be a problem. Soil nutrient, weather, this may be a problem. So for adverse weather, your crop should be resistant to the adverse weather. And these varieties then provided to the farmers, and this has made it easier to feed the larger population of the country. And it helps the production of disease resistant crops. So crop variety improvement, we are doing it for this reason. Now the crop variety improvement of the following reasons: by improving crop variety, cross breeding, hybridization, crop yield increase, crop becomes resistant to biotic abiotic stresses, short duration crops, the early maturing, the maturity period is also very important. Maturity period. If you will take the maturity period that is 6 months, then how you can cultivate other crops in the same field? It is not possible. So the maturity period, we should make it short. For short duration crop, the early maturing variety can fit the crop into multiple cropping varieties, and the new varieties can acclimatize to different environmental conditions. So these are very, very important things, and crop variety improvement we are doing to make the yield very high, very, very high, and we should maintain the quality also. Now the crop production management. Fine. So in crop production management, okay, fine. So in the crop production management, what we are doing? In India, farming ranges from very small to very large farms we have. So in the crop production management, first thing is the basic practices. And the crop yield, suppose I have done one thing, the yield is now very high. That means what? The production is very high. Different size of lands you have for different farmers, and you can see that the yield is very high because now we are aware of this crop improvement. So crop yield is very high, but the management is also important. Only the crop, you are producing the crop, that is not only the end of the agriculture. So now whatever you have to do, you have to manage in such a way that your crops should be very, your crop should be the storage property, the storage things also you have to keep in your mind. And the crop production, it includes very low cost or no cost and high cost production. So according to that, whatever we have to do, we have to find out whatever the types of the crops and whatever the economic value of the crop, right? So this first thing is the basic practices like soil preparation we have done, sowing seeds we have done, adding manure we have done at the time of cultivation, irrigation, weeding, harvesting, storage. So these things we have to do. These are the basic practices we have to do, and this is the first step of the crop production and management. Of the management, crop production management, this is the first step. Whenever you are going to cultivate the crop, first what you are doing? First you are preparing the soil. Next what you are doing? The seeds will be sown. Then what you are doing for the growth of the plant? You are adding some manure. It may be natural manure, it may be any synthetic, but you are adding some manure, inorganic fertilizer. And then irrigation is very important. Required amount of water is getting or not, required amount of radiation is getting or not, everything is important. Some crop, required crop, you can see some plants are there which are not important, but they are taking the nutrients from the soil. So weeding is also important. That means we have to take out all those unwanted plants. Then harvesting, this is also important. It is not that after maturity you are not getting all the crop. This process should be very high-end process. Then the storage, because we cannot store the crops in our field, for a long time. We have to take it, and then the storage is also very, very important point. Now, next thing is the seed bank. So first thing is the basic practice that we are doing at the time of cultivation. Okay. So cultivation is okay. Crop production. Now I have produced the crop. Now what I have to do? Because in large scale I have produced the crop. Then seed bank. Seed bank. This is very important. Seed ball or heirloom seed. Seed bank should be there from where the farmers will get the seeds in the next season. In the next season, they will get the seed. And what this is a closed loop system. Like if they are taking the seeds for the next season, another thing is also important. They have to protect the seeds. They have to store the seeds. So they have to store the seeds. So seed bank is important. Then agricultural research institutes. Now, whatever the problems, okay, whatever the problems I have said, the problems have been solved, the farmers have said, the problems have been solved, new hybrid, new varieties we have, fine. But still time to time, because the weather is changing, so time to time there may be another problems may be there. Or time to time it may be that demands are very high. Some scarcity may be there for any crop. So what the research should be going on. So for this research, the agricultural research institutes we have, so they are doing what? Whatever the problems they are facing, that we are going to solve this thing. Okay. Then foliage sprays. Now here we are using some vermi wash. We are using different types of sprays here. Then biocontrol methods. Here biopredators, biopesticides, biorepellents, biofertilizers, all these things we have to use. So that means the crop production, if the farmers are cultivating, that is not enough. After cultivation and before cultivation also, there are so many things you have to do. First thing is that this is in the hand of your farmers. They will prepare the soil. They will just take the seed and sowing seed. It is in their hand. Then adding manure according to the growth. But they have to know how much manure is required and according to that they have to add. It is not like that over manure is not good, also less manure is not good. So the amount of the manure that will be that is a big factor also. And another thing is that the irrigation. So irrigation is also important because for the crop production, one thing is very important: how much water you have, how much moisture you have, how much moisture you have in the soil, how much moisture you have in the soil. This is also important. So at the time of irrigation, you have to keep in your mind how much moisture you have in your soil. And weeding, some whenever the plants are growing, you can see that several unwanted plants also growing. You can see it in your garden also, some unwanted plants, and what you are doing, you are just taking off all those plants, right, which are unwanted. So that thing also they have to do, but for this case we are using the labor or farmers. Now the harvesting also, that is also required after matured crop. Whenever we are getting the matured crop, we have to take out the crop. Then we have to store the crops in a particular condition, because every crop, if they have the storage condition, we have to maintain it. Then the seed bank here, this is also important for every farmer. Now Agricultural Research Institute, always they are doing their work, and this Central Inland Fisheries Research Institute, they are researching for this fisheries department, and we have different agricultural department. So they are, and we have some research institutes, whatever they are doing their job. Now whatever the college sprays we are applying, now biocontrol methods, now you have to educate the farmers regarding the biocontrol methods. For this also we require some manpower, which are very well known to this method. And these methods, because the farmers, they are not so much knowledge. So you have to give the knowledge, and you have to give how much, what is the biopredators, what is the biopesticides, what are the biovalents, and what are the biofertilizers that you should not use. Because we have seen that the farmers have complained that if we are using synthetic inorganic fertilizer, after certain time they have seen that the soil is not in the soil is not the fertility of the soil, the fertility of the soil affected. So according to their complaint, we have invented biofertilizers. So we have to encourage the farmers to develop more biofertilizers, and then you have to apply the biofertilizers in the different fields. So then the nutrient management. Now nutrient means in a plant we require different types of nutrients, and these nutrients, as previously I have told you, that we can divide macronutrient and also micronutrient. And both the nutrients, these are important for the growth of a plant. So macronutrients like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So these macronutrients, we have to think about this thing. How much is the requirement? How much you have? If you do not have, then whatever you have to do, you have to apply separately. Suppose sometimes we are using some nitrogenous manure also. So micronutrients, like which the plants, they require zinc, copper, boron, molybdenum, chlorine, manganese, iron, cobalt, like this. So how we are preparing the soil, that is also important. What are the nutrients of the soil? That is also important. So the farmer should aware regarding the macronutrients, and as I have told, macronutrients and micronutrients, and I have told you how they will know, because some of the farmers, they are illiterate, they do not know anything. So there should be some manpower, and the manpower provided by the research institute who are going to train them aware them regarding the macronutrients and micronutrients. So the farmer should be aware of proper nutrients to be provided to the plant. If you are applying too little, then the plant will not grow. If you are applying very high amounts, at that time you can see that it is harmful for the crop. So proper proportion, proper percentage of this macronutrient and micronutrient, these are very, very important. These are very, very important. So we have to think about, we have to train the farmers. Yes, this much of macronutrient should be there, this much of micronutrient should be there. And whenever there will be some soil testing methods are there in through which we can determine how much is the macronutrients are there, how much is the micronutrients are there, how much is the percentage of oxygen, how much is the percentage of carbon, how much is the percentage of nitrogen, how much is the percentage of boron. We can measure that thing using the soil testing method. So in agriculture, there are certain parameters that need to be considered, like whatever the soil, whatever the climate, and in the soil also we have to think about the macronutrient, and also we have to think about the micronutrient, and the climate. Here we have to think about the water, how much water level should be there. It can be due to the rainfall, or it can be by irrigation method also we can give. And there are different types of irrigation method, modern methods and earlier traditional methods also. So we have to think about the climate. What will be the radiation? What will be the radiation of sun is applicable or is good for the crop? That is also important. So depending upon all these parameters, the farmers will decide crop is to be cultivated at which time of the year and which place. So because the soil, the total soil of the field, I cannot change. The farmers cannot change. So they know very well which soil is preferable for which crop. So in that particular soil, that particular weather, they will cultivate the crop, the required crop. Okay. So depending all these factors, these parameters, the farmers will decide which crop should be cultivated at what time of the year and in which place. So the place they should select, and time, that is also very important, and also these two things they are going to decide. Now, if the yield is high of the high quality product, then suitable soil, climate, season are not only sufficient. It requires a set of procedures. The measures which are followed to raise the crops are called agricultural practices. These are called agricultural practices. Now, here some traditional agricultural practices we have, that is climate smart agriculture, traditional agricultural practices like agroforestry, like intercropping, like crop rotation, cover cropping, traditional organic composing, and integrated crop animal farming. Integrated crop animal farming. These are the traditional agricultural practices. So weather is good, soil is good, high quality and large scale products we are getting, that is not only enough. Another thing we have, that is the agricultural practices. And traditional practices, whatever we have till now, that is the agroforestry, intercropping, crop rotation, cover cropping, traditional organic composting, and integrated crop animal farming. Now, agriculture and agricultural practices. So first is the soil preparation. Right? Before soil preparation, the farmers, they have selected, yes, this soil is good for Kharif, or this soil is good for Rabi or Zaid. Fine. Now they have to prepare the soil. How? Plowing, leveling, manuring. So here for the soil preparation, plowing, leveling, manuring. Okay. These 3 points are very important. What is plowing? Plowing is the process of loosening and digging of soil using a plow. And sometimes they are doing, the farmers, they are using the traditional method. They can use the bullocks also. So plowing, that means loosening and digging of soil using a plow. So why we'll do this thing? This helps in prepare proper aeration of the soil. After plowing, the soil is distributed evenly and leveled in the process called leveling. Then we have to level all the whatever the soil. Then soil is manured, right? So soil plowing, that is important. That means whatever the field is, now you are handovering your field to a farmer, right? To the farmers. So what they will do one thing. The farmers, whatever they will do, the farmers, they will plow the field first. That means they will they are going to take the process to lose or to dig the soil. Okay. Then what they will do, they will level the soil. Then after that, they will add the manure, but according to the requirement of the soil. Okay. Then sowing. So selection of the seed of good quality crop strains is the primary stage of sowing. Now the farmers, if they are educated enough regarding this point, at that time they know that the seed quality. So they are selecting good quality seed. Then they are taking the seeds from the seed bank, and after that preparation of the soil, these seeds are dispersed in the field, and this is called sowing. But in previously, that means many years ago, we have one thing that they are using their hands and they are sowing the seeds. And whatever they are doing, suppose this is the field. First, they are making the soil preparation. So they are digging the soils and whatever. But after that, they are dividing the total field in this way. So there will be some group here, right? Like this, valley type. Okay, like this. And particularly in this line, they are showing the seeds. Particularly in this line, they are showing the seeds. Like this, particularly in this line. And there is a separation in between these two lines. Big separation in between these two lines. Now, why this they will keep? First thing for watering. Second thing is important for what? For to avoid the weed. To avoid the weed also they are doing this thing. Now, this is the sowing process. So rest of the process we'll study in the next lecture. Till then, bye bye and thank you.